All right, here we are. Seattle Sports Weekly. Mazvita Maraire. Glad to be back with you. We missed last week, and apologies are in order, I would say. What happened was I was minding mines, as they say. No, who was it? It was the Seattle Seahawks. Changed their media availability. So when they change that media availability, we got to go. We got to be there, because the reason is, if we're there, we can give you more insight in terms of what's going on with the team and players. And there's just a lot of, and they had won that big game over who did they beat? Oh my goodness. Yeah, well, the Seahawks had won the game, and so it was a big, big game for them in terms of, I feel like I'm a pop quiz here, Houston Texans. Who, by the way, Seahawks beat them, and then the Texans take care of the 49ers, and that's a good thing. You're like, well, yeah, because as a result, the Seahawks are now your NFC West leaders with 5-2. They're tied with the Rams, but the Seahawks are ahead of the Rams because the two teams haven't played each other. And I should have done a better job. Still trying to figure out why the Hawks are in front of the Rams. I think it's because the Seahawks. Oh, that's right. They had a better head-to-head record last year against the Rams. I'm going to find that out during a break, but that's my guess, right? Because normally what happens in teams that are tied, they end up they start with the head-to-head competition, then they go to the conference, or the division record, then the conference record, and whatnot. So there you go. As D Money pops it up there. I was at practice yesterday, and it was interesting because now the Seahawks go to the Commanders, and we'll head out there and watch that game. So we'll have plenty for you for next Tuesday. What does it say? What does it say, D Money? Yeah, there it is. Yeah. So we'll be out there. So we'll get to see Bobby Wagner. I don't know, have too much time to chat with him, but again, he plays for the Commanders, who lost last night to the Kansas City Chiefs. So the Commanders in a bit of a tailspin. They would like nothing better than to beat up on the Seahawks now, but the Seahawks have a really, they're back in terms of from the bye weekend. They're undefeated on the road right now in terms of East Coast under Mike McDonald, and it's just a record that the ability to get his team ready. So going back to yesterday, it was because of the Sunday game. Yesterday was what they call a bonus practice. So the Seahawks don't have to reveal the injury report. So in the NFL, you have 3 days in which that you must reveal the injury report. Your 3 standard days, and normally those are Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. In the NFL, because it plays on Sunday and everybody else takes Sunday off, the NFL takes Tuesday off. So for the most part, players can still come in, but there's no practices. And so the Seahawks practiced yesterday because of the bye week. And as I said, that is what the bonus practice, that they do not have to release any injury report. And Mike McDonald did not release an injury report. Coaches are getting savvy these days. I've noticed over the years, Pete Carroll would kind of go strains, sprains, and ligaments. And they've never been really specific. Mike McDonald just says, I'm not going to tell you. I don't really know. He's not being flippant or defiant, but he's just being strategic. And when I see the other press conferences with the coaches, same thing. Hey, you know what? I cannot tell you. I think New York Jets coach had a back and forth um, discussion with the media, and they're like, "Are you going to tell us who's going to start a quarterback?" He was like, "No." It's like, "Well, is that because the injury?" No, I'm not going to tell you. Well, is that because one is better than the other one? No, I'm not going to tell you. And I don't know why people get all absurd from the media perspective and think that they're going to bamboozle the coach who told you, "I'm not going to tell you the injury update or who's going to start," and then you're going to try to go around and around with me. No, it's a competitive advantage. I'm not going to tell you. Nothing personal, but that's just the nature of the game, and I don't get it, but I don't have to get it, and the coaches don't. That's why they hold steadfast. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to play D Money. I'll let you do this from yesterday's practice. Here is I was at practice and did a practice report, so we're going to hear that now. It's that first video, D Money, if we can play that from Seahawks practice yesterday. The Seattle Seahawks returned from the bye week, and now they are number one in the NFC West. There he goes, Julian Love. Julian Love, you see Kobe Bryant. That's the other player that returned yesterday was Robbie Oots. And I'll really talk a little bit about him. That's a big man. That is a big man. Look at those thighs. And then there's, you can see Miles Gaskin, former UW, and then Joe Kalani there.
Oh, hell yeah. Can't run without hurting something. Come on now, shoot them out, man. Yep, shoot them out. Late.
And that's Chris Paul, the linebacker, number 49 there. It gives you a little glimpse in terms of, their pre-practice. So they'll come out. Yesterday, most of the team came out and practice. Usually what happens is the special teamers can come out and see the practice. They come out and do the stretching. But you see Uchenna Nwosu coming out there. And again, this is their pre-practice routine where they'll come out and stretch. And it just kind of, kind of take you inside. And that's Torrey Horton, number 15, rookie, expecting a lot. There's a lot of talk about, are they going to add another wide receiver?
Some else.
And so, I don't know. I don't know if there's a Garner, the barn burner. And again, see the tight ends, 81, 89, they're kind of, they all kind of gather in that area right there. It says you would special groups. And again, Halani on the left there, and Miles Gaskin tying his shoe. So, this is what we call B-roll. We all seen this before. But interesting enough, I'll leave it at the end there because there's a player or two that is missing. But again, we're only there for the first 10, 15 minutes. I should really say 10 minutes. So we don't get to see the whole team come out. What I mean by that is those four guys are always together there. There's Donaldson, Donald.
There you go, Robbie Oops is back. And we probably won't see Love and Witherspoon because, the majority of the players, this is really more for, it's not mandatory yet.
Lock, Cooper Cup, Bobo, Jalen Milrow. Indeed, yeah. I mean, this is it's interesting. It's very, very scripted in terms of the timing. It's so intricate. They just, I don't even hear that part, but they'll start right at, let's say, practice 11:40. You have 2 minutes, 1 minute, and they start. And then they do the stretching, that strength, the guy bending over, picking up the, I mean, they play a vital role. They got to get these guys ready. They have to get them stretched. And some of the players are in the weight room or in the treatment room. They do the treatment in the morning. So what happens, they'll come back and they'll do the pre-practice stretch. I mean, it is so good. And it's surgical in terms of who's making the feet for it. But yeah, I mean, it's absolutely the case. And there is probably, I would say, the best defender they have right now. And it's true the form. So yeah, you can kind of see now, it's a typical LTV guy. I mean, ask a little bit, just because he's used to doing and those kinds of things. But again, this gives you a glimpse beyond Kendrick over
All
there.
right, so there you go. You saw some B-roll. There is no injury report, but we did see Julian Love out there and Robbie Oots. And Mike just talked about it's good to get him back, Oots, that is, because he helps and augments and strengthens the run game. And obviously Julian Love is, the quarterback of the back end. Really it's more of a feel-good day today in terms of Mike's comments and then the practice that we saw. They only practiced for, 90 minutes. So it's just on the north side of a walkthrough. But, Mike said it was a refreshed practice and the players were refreshed. And so that meant a heightened practice and they were ready to go. And didn't see Devon Witherspoon, but then again, got to give you the caveat that we didn't see Jackson Smith and Chickburn, a lot of some of the other players when we were allowed to be out here. So, and it doesn't really matter until we get to Thursday. So we'll look at Wednesday and then Thursday practice report, and that's when we can begin to start seeing which way players are trending. But all is well. And as I said, the Seahawks and the Rams are tied atop of the NFC West. Both have 5-2 records, but because the Seahawks, they haven't played each other, and the Rams haven't played each other, but the Seahawks have the right now they are ahead of the Rams, so they are right now in first place. So it's kind of a little good caveat and something for the Seahawks to begin to take a look at, to say, okay, how can we continue to go further? How can we take what we've done and then move and stay up top? And I think that's going to be the message, consistency and competition from the VMAC in Renton. I'm Mazvita Maraire for the Cascadia Sports.net report.
All right, so there you go. And I am not going to waste a whole lot of time because it's been a while since we've had the legend on here. And so without further ado, I'm going to bring him on, Peter Hattrup. Peter Hattrick, as he has been known, to talk about the Sounders, game one, and then I might even sneak a classical question in there. But legend, how you doing?
Doing okay. Doing all right. Tough day yesterday, but it's okay.
Okay. Just your thoughts. Just really your thoughts. We'll start with that, and then I'll ask some questions.
Unfortunately, it's a typical Minnesota game. It's about as exciting as watching paint dry, but they do it well, and they make it hard. They just grind the game to a stop, and if you can't get ahead of them and make them come out, it's going to be difficult. And there's some thoughts. I mean, part of me wonders if we should start with almost 4 up front and 2 in midfield. They're not interested in attacking anyway, and get the ball out wide and bombard the box with cross after cross to try and break them down a little bit, because playing the ball sideways across in front of them doesn't really cause them problems.
4 up front. And why would, and I mean, I think you talked about it, but
How would that
Well,
work out?
it looked like a 4-4-2 until you have the ball, and then you play two holding midfielders, and you play two out and out wide guys, and say get the ball out to them, and see if they can get around the corner and get some crosses in.
So, if I'm hearing you correctly, there's a need to try to play the width to kind of bring the backs out of their formation, or even let's say they're 6 and the 8. Is that what, like, that's not happening right now? They're not stretching out the Minnesota defense?
Yeah, it just doesn't happen fast enough because they're patient, which is in some ways good, but Minnesota's fine with you having the ball most of the game. They don't really care. They don't want to come out and get it. So you get the ball out wide, to a Rothrock or a Georgie and say, hey, take your guy on. Let's see if we can get around the backside of them, get behind them and get balls crossed in from the end line, rather than play the ball around in front of them. And, at some point you can, and I think you can take some chances against them because they're not that dangerous going forward. So if you had, say Obed and Christian sitting in the middle of the field, just spraying the balls out wide to those guys and play two center forwards, which is not something the Sounders do very often. But then you've got guys in the box, and you've got Christian and Obed sitting out there 30 yards out to keep the balls in once it gets cleared. And maybe you can just trap them in there and put them under pressure.
Yeah, Brian talked about before midweek leading up to the game about toying, he said, we're toying with the two forwards. I just wonder, as you're such an astute savant of the game, that maybe you're actually something that I'll say this, I wouldn't be surprised if what you're saying is not going to happen next Monday. You know what I mean? That he's going to go to two forwards, because he talked about it last week. And so I'll put it this way. Go ahead.
There's the theory that, well, let's do what we do well, because we'll stick with what we do best. But not only against Minnesota, but everybody against Minnesota has had a hard time breaking them down. People play in front of them, and you knock the ball around, and you think, great, we have control of the game. But if we don't score, and now you're looking at, what we looked at last night, all of a sudden it's penalties, and yeah, you can say, okay, we're confident in our team, but it's still a bit of a crapshoot. And two of the guys you expected to score probably for sure. You're looking at Alex and Christian, who have been pretty solid taking penalties, but it comes around. Sooner or later you miss. I don't care how good you are.
Yeah, you kind of answered my question there, but is hitting the post, it's a miss. What do you hitting the post is just the nature of doing business?
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the pressure. When you feel pressure, you want to cut things a little finer. It's got to be in the corner. It's got to be perfect. Alex went the other way. He said, "I'm gonna guess and I'm gonna go down the middle." And oops, goalie decided he ain't going anywhere. So, I would always save going down the middle to about the third or fourth penalty at least, after you've seen the goalie leave early. But you see it at every level. I mean, it was only maybe a month ago that Messi decided he was going to Panenka, and the goalie stood still in the middle of the goal. And it's like, whoops, what looks like a genius play 90% of the time looks like an idiot play that one time the goalie stands still. So, it's rough. I mean, everyone looks and goes, penalties are easy. And they are when you're in the park by yourself with no stress and no pressure and nothing else. Everyone's good in that point. It's not the physical act of hitting a firm shot in the corner that's hard. It's the weight of the pressure, and the goalies are athletic enough and big enough and quick enough that if they leave a tiny bit early, they can get to the corners. So the taking of penalties has changed a bit. A lot of times they are relying on sending them the wrong way or out. And it becomes difficult.
You've coached a lot of, it just dawned on me. I never highlight all the people you've coached, but you're still coaching. You're still coaching, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're still coaching, but Kellen Rowe is one of the players you've coached, but I'm sure there's tons. I would ask you, but you don't really like to talk about yourself and all the stuff you've done. But my point is this: what do you teach the players when it comes to taking a penalty kick?
It's funny because I played in the tournament this weekend, and we went to penalties, and I wasn't the coach, but I did turn to everybody and said, look, if you're confident in what you're doing and you feel confident I'm going right or going left, then just go up there and do it. If you have any hesitation, smash the thing. If you're not sure, just smash it. Because most of the time, if you watch penalties, somebody gets a little nervous and babies it or is tentative, and that's the one that's missed. So, if you're not sure, at least hit it hard. And at the end of the day, I remember Johan Cruyff said, first of all, he said he wasn't religious, but then he says, walk back, say a little prayer, and then, hope for the best. Because sometimes that's what it comes down to. Sometimes you hit a bad penalty, but the goalie dove the wrong way. And everyone goes, oh, what a great penalty. Sent him the wrong way. Did he, or the goalie just guessed? And sometimes you hit a decent penalty and the goalie, is on top of it. So accept the fact that you're going to miss occasionally and go up with confidence. It's kind of all you can tell them.
Well, you set yourself up. The audience wants to know. I want to know, did you make your penalty kick?
Oh, I made both the penalties I took this weekend.
Of course you did. Well done. We'll just kind of go around because I just haven't talked to you for quite a bit. But what's your overall make of the Sounders team?
I think they've had some more struggles than we would expect, because there was a stretch coming out of Club World Cup where they played really tough teams, where they looked like they had a whole different sense of confidence and willingness to go forward and create, and they were scoring goals in bunches. And they had a few little injuries, and they weren't big ones, but just enough to force you to rotate the squad maybe more than you wanted to. And they kind of seem to lose that free-flowing aspect. And I think when you lose that, then everyone gets a little tentative. Everyone's doesn't want to make mistakes, because when you're scoring goals on a regular basis, you're not overly concerned with giving away one. So you keep going forward and you take chances, because we give away one, we'll get three. When you're not scoring, then you would think you'd push forward more, but you tend to hold back a little bit, saying, well, we can't afford to give away anything because we're not sure we're going to get many goals. So I think they've gone to a rough stretch where you've seen they haven't scored a lot of goals. It's been one, maybe two, but not like that stretch in the middle where it was like, wow, they look to really have figured something out. And it didn't matter to a certain extent who they put in. De Rosario was scoring goals. Majowski scored goals. Rothrock was scoring goals. They were getting guys chipping in with goals from other spots, and now they're struggling to find somebody that's going to score on a regular basis. So then everyone else feels a little bit more pressure. When you got someone that's going to score almost every game, then everyone else plays a little freer, knowing, okay, it's not stuck on me. When no one's scoring consistently, everyone feels a bit more pressure.
Yeah, to your point, yeah, 5-2 they beat Kansas City, and then they beat LA Galaxy 2-0. Then the rough stretch, right? You No, you beat Miami. I'm sorry. And then you tie the Galaxy. Inter Miami gets you back 3-1. You lose to Austin. You tie Vancouver. And you barely beat Portland 1-0. Salt Lake 1-0. And I think to your point, they beat New York City 2-1. But that doesn't seem like they really shook that kind of, the bad taste out of their mouth. What do you then has to happen from your pivots? Are you fine? I mean, I think the defensive back with Yamar, you know what I mean, Jackson Reagan, and Alex Rodin looks like he is another player, just I think defensively and going up. So let me rephrase that. Jordan Morris, are you getting what you need from him? Not only scoring, but in terms of creating space.
I don't think he's found his form really since he's been back. He's scored a couple goals, but he looks like he's laboring a little bit, and he's going through having to figure out how can he still perform without the same amount of speed that he used to have. Because I don't think he's got the same get in behind him threat that he had previously. He does not look as quick off the mark, like he's going to get in behind. So he's got to find some new answers, and that's hard. And like any goal scorer, if you haven't scored many goals in a while, you start feeling the pressure.
Peter, how hard is that for a player? I mean, you of all people have been able to do this, but Johan Cruyff, you mentioned him as well. But to change who you are, right? Like if you had that speed, you don't have it anymore. Is it a position switch, or how do you deal with that? Do you now have to think faster, wiser and not as fast?
Yeah, and you've got to work on other parts of your game, because the one area of his game that I have actually seen significant improvement in over the years is in these last couple of years. All of a sudden, he's become a threat in the air.
Yep.
And so that he wants to be can't speak for him. It seems that he wants to be a number 9 and play as an out. Well, now that means you got to be super sharp and super instinctual inside the box. And, if you look at a Lewandowski or a Ronaldo later in his career, these guys, when they're around the box, they're lethal. They're not always running behind anymore. They're not, but they're figuring out ways to find space in the box where there seems to be no space, which is a gift. Part of that's a gift. Part of it, you just instinctually understand. Part of it's maybe you need to work a little bit harder to get free in the box rather than, I'm marked. You got to figure out a way. And you don't need to get very open in the box. You just need to get a half step away from somebody. And some of that, you look at the Luis Suarez of the world and these guys, there's a little bit of the dark arts. Are you stepping into a guy and pushing off slightly before you make your run, or are you just making that run and hoping you're a step ahead of the guy? And that's the tricks of the trade that come along. But for a long part of his career, he hasn't had to learn that because he didn't need that. I can run behind them if they're too tight. Well, that doesn't always work anymore. So you figure out, what else do I have? And his heading ability has improved, and that has enabled him to get goals. If you look at the amount of headers he has in the last 3 years compared to how many he used to have, it used to be almost all his goals used to be the same way. He's getting on the end of things behind somebody and finishing, or getting around the corner and now. All right, he's scoring off some corners or free kicks, scoring off the cross here and there, and you just got to keep. But it's still going to be tough because you're trying to reinvent yourself to a certain extent on the fly, and it's hard to accept that maybe I'm not as fast as I was. Because it's not like he's slow. but he doesn't seem to have that same burst to just get away from people.
All right, we got a couple of minutes, then we got to go on break, and thanks. But let me ask you this. If you close your eyes and you said between Jordan, let's say player A and player B, take the names out. One player A is your all-time club scorer, struggling a bit. Player B had a career year, Mazvita, and he had a couple chances last night. So again, take the name out, because I think sometimes that influences. Who would you start on next Monday?
Well, like I said, I'd probably start them both.
Nice. Well played.
But that also forces a problem, because then, all right, what do we do with Ferreira?
Mm-hmm.
Is he going to sit out? Because if I'm trying to get the ball wide and get crosses in and cause problems and have two center forwards, I'm probably starting Georgie and Rothrock. No De La Vega. So who are my two wide guys that most likely are going to beat somebody and get balls across? And that's, and that's kind of going away from what they've done. But playing the way you play all the time against Minnesota makes it a grind, and Minnesota's better at the grind than most teams.
Yeah, it'd be interesting even if he goes with one forward up front. I doubt he would finish unless they score, that he would finish the game with one forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and the other way to do it is play those two out wide and play, like you said, Mazvita was in pretty good form. And then maybe you play Russ behind him to be that guy that's at the edge of the box, picks up all the, where you've got somebody that's good on free kicks. He's good on corners. Sometimes you have a problem when you have too many players that you want to play. Somebody's got to sit out, but I think if you're going to stretch them, you got to play two wide guys that can beat people.
Okay.
And if I look at the wide guys we've got without De La Vega, I think Georgie and Rothrock are the most likely to beat people on the sides and get balls across.
And your guy Smetzer has said that Rothrock, we saw that last night, is the go-to in terms of replacement for De La Vega. Are you concerned about De La Vega? Paul Arriola is supposed to be back from Monday, but let me start with De La Vega. Do you start kind of, getting a little concerned? Plan B?
Yes and no. I mean, I think that's where the point we were coming into this year, and all of a sudden it looked like, okay, he's kind of found himself. I'm concerned with his emotional and mental state of mind, and I don't know him, but this is a relatively young guy that came here with a lot of fanfare, and now he's in a different place with some injuries and different culture. I think it's got to be tough for him right now. And I don't know the support group he's got around him. So that's something different. And I'm sure the Sounders are doing everything they can for him, but does he have some family or friends or somebody here? Because it's hard. It's hard being alone in a foreign country. It's hard, but when you've come purely to play, that was your whole reason for coming here, and now you can't play for stretches of time. I think emotionally and mentally that's got to be really tough.
Vancouver, lastly, before we go, I know we're beyond the break. Thomas Mueller. I mean, can you believe?
He knows how to play. He knows how to get goals. This is like we talk about, a guy that knows where's the little space. Where's it? He's not outrunning everybody. He finds a little gap. He works hard, but he finds a little gap. He finds a little space. And when he gets a chance, it's almost always on target. You won't see him miss many shots. They might get saved, but he doesn't miss many.
All right, sir. We appreciate your time. And let's see, Monday, I think Tuesday. Yeah, it's been too long. So we got to make sure we get you back on. So appreciate your time, Peter. And did you guys win the tournament or second, third, fourth, fifth?
We lost in I ended up playing part-time on two teams. So one team won their division. One team lost in the semifinals. By the end of the tournament, I was useless anyway because my knee and the rest of my body did not want to continue.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Legend. I mean, I don't know how many legends can play at your age on two teams. It's one thing to play, but lastly, what do you think is what's the worst loss? Let me rephrase it again. What do you think is the most devastating loss? The finals, the semis, the quarters? You know what I'm trying to say? Which of those?
Well, if you think you have a real chance, the most devastating loss would be to not get out of group.
Right. Oh, yeah.
That's
right,
depressing.
Right.
Once you get out of that, there's only one winner. If you lose in the final, it sucks. And it depends on how your team is, because sometimes you're like, okay, we actually did pretty well to get here, and you can accept it. But if you are really a team that is a championship level team for whatever level you're playing at, losing in a final is the worst. I think it's the most devastating because you're that close.
You're supposed to be there.
Once you got there, you're like, okay, now we got to win the thing. So.
All right, Peter. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you soon. Appreciate your time.
Right. My pleasure.
All right, there he goes. Man, isn't it cool having a legend on the show? He is Sounders, Golden Scarf, and obviously, I don't know how the guy's still playing, but when you take care of your body, and Peter went through some injuries, and it's interesting. I think that when you hear him talk about mental and the physical thing, he's actually the poster child, boy, man, for that, just to be able to overcome injuries and and then stand on 2 feet and still able to play and coach and help out. And that's why we like to have him on the show. So many different perspectives that he brings to the show. All right. I know D Money is like, hey, so we got to go on break. We are way past that. And then when we come back, we'll talk some Husky football with Andrew Bailey. And without further ado, this is Seattle Sports Weekly. I'm Mazvita Maraire.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Rainier Avenue Radio .world, the station that cares about our community.
So I needed to check my kids' immunization records for their school. My doctor told me I could get them quickly online, but I couldn't figure out how. Thankfully, I could turn to Link to Care WA for help. With Link to Care WA, I was able to learn how to use online health portals, use telehealth to talk to my doctor virtually, and even apply for jobs online. I called their free hotline and got help from a real person. Call Link to Care WA at 866-757-1832 or visit linktocarewa.org.
Hello, I'm Tony Young, and every week I will be your guide to the music of the Fab Four with my show, With the Beatles. John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr, those four lads from Liverpool. First airings are Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. with repeats on Thursdays and Saturdays from 8 to 10 a.m. right here on Rainier Avenue Radio. Tune in to catch Beatlemania.
Hey, Seattle, tune in to Line Sports every Monday, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m.
What up, yo? We are back. This is Pep and the man that don't take no mess, Mr. O-P-I-S, Mr. Stevenson. What say you?
I hope you see the hat that I'm wearing right now. That's how mad I am.
I do. Man, you are angry.
I just want to make that be known.
Tune in to Lidline Sports every Monday, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Deadline Sports.
Generational wealth. Generational wealth. Generational wealth. What is generational wealth? We asked our communities, and this is what they had to say.
Generational wealth to me means to provide and establish wealth for generations to come, whether it be through real estate or through other equitable funding.
Personally, it helps to work with a trusted financial professional to guide and steer you, because you're going to be making some decisions around how you spend your money, how you save your money, how you invest your money. Some of that will be strictly to increase size of your wealth. Other parts of those investments might be something that you want to do that keep to your purpose and your character. And you can manage to do both.
This campaign to create awareness to generational wealth is brought to you by the Department of Neighborhood's Generational Wealth Initiative, the Washington Housing Finance Commission, and Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not explaining to my intern exactly what R&B is, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
All right, we're back for the last half hour here. Seattle Sports Weekly. I'm Mazvita Maraire on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. We got D Money, fresh juice. He's popping the buttons, pulling all the levers behind there, and okay, D Money. Since we don't have any promos, can we at least get a fresh juice flyer up there? You know when is fresh juice? Clean Greens is after this show, but there you go. What they got going on? D Money, Pint Size, Patron, and Superstar TK. Man, he always got kind of good. Always got good guests. You know, D Money, you should do a live show with an audience over there. I mean, honestly, you know how they do kind of, just over there at the Rainier Avenue studio, and the audience can come there and shit. I'd be in, order a little meal next door, come on and hear the guru speak. But be that as it may, so that's just put that in the suggestion box. Yeah, there's Clean Greens living, and right after here. So just don't go anywhere. Don't do nothing. Maybe run to the bathroom or get some water so you stay hydrated. But stay here. And all afternoon and all night, Rainier Avenue Radio got the coolest and community shows that are in the heart of the community and speak to the community. All right, and one update is the Seattle Storm officially named Sona. No, they did not name. I would be remiss, bad journalism. But Sona Rahman is their new coach. Now, why I say all of that, Sonia Rahman, I say all that because she reportedly has agreed to be the Seattle Storm's new head coach, but nothing can happen right now in the WNBA. It's all wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more type of thing because of the collective bargaining agreement is going on. Now, I think this is just an incredible hire, and she is the first Indian American to be named head coach. She actually was she was a physician assistant at healthcare. How do you like that? Then she goes on. No, that is so not true. That is so not true. She started at MIT. She was in there as a coach 208 to 2020. And then took them, I think, to 2 tournaments, and she's the winners coach in program history. Then this is the deal. She goes to the Memphis Grizzlies for 4 years. She served as an assistant in the NBA, becoming the first Indian American woman to do so. After that, she joins. Last year, she was New York Liberty. Now, remember the Liberty, Sandy Bordello is now going to coach the franchise, the Toronto team. And then I think Ramon is a really, really great hire. Not only the ethnic background, the experience, and she has a wife, and all this is just all good. I mean, check, 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 check. And also, she's known for development of players and also late game tactics. Check, 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 check. Kudos to the Storm. I can't wait to hear from her. If you go to CascadingSports.net, you'll see. We wrote the article, but there's also an interview, not our interview, but one she did, and you can kind of hear the basketball mind that's there. But without further ado, nicely done, D-Money. We're going to bring in, let's bring in Andrew Bailey. Andrew Bailey. Maybe he's not coming, but Andrew Bailey. And we'll talk the UW football. Yeah, I figured you'd be there. Heck, you got on early. I said, well, he must have went and took my my advice to grab some water, but that was for the audience, not you, brother. You ready?
Yes, I am ready.
That's all right. We're having a conversation. I take a quick peek here. Whoa, at the Big 10, Big 12 standings, and the UW is right smack in the middle, 3-2. In the conference, 6-2. Home, they're 4-1. On the road, they're 2-1. They've won 1. Tell us about what you saw at the you wrote about it, CascadiaSports.net, about the Huskies' signature win. Observations.
It was a bounce back performance for the Huskies for sure. Damon Williams, after that really rough game in Michigan, he has 3 interceptions against the Wolverines, and he comes back, has a really superb performance against Illinois, goes 26 of 33, throws for 280 yards, 4 touchdown passes, no interceptions this time. Just a great performance from him. I think he really benefited from getting those 2 offensive linemen back on the left side, protecting him, John Mills and Carver Willis. That certainly helped him, and it helped that whole offense overall, because their running backs ran for more yards than they'd run for in the 4 weeks prior. And Jonah Coleman goes for 75 yards rushing on 14 carries. So just an overall great performance from the offense after only putting up 7 points the week before against Michigan.
Okay, all right, and it was rainy day down there, but the Husky fans came out, correct?
Absolutely, over 68,000 braved the weather and the elements, the wind, the rain. They didn't care. They were cheering and screaming loud all day. Got a little bit louder when they got those interceptions in the second half. Takario Davis and Rashawn Clark come up with interceptions, both of them. Rashawn Clark's seals the deal. The Huskies run out the clock after his pick. They really flustered Luke Altmaier. Altmaier came into the game with just 1 interception, and he has 2 in this game. They hold him to under 200 yards passing, and he only threw 2 touchdown passes against them. So just a great performance from the defense, particularly that second half, to give up just 8 points after giving up 17 in the first.
What did they do? What was the adjustment you saw in the second half by the Husky defense? Was it more pressure, or did they blitz more, or what was the adjustment?
I think it was just more from schematically from the secondary, that whatever looks they were presenting him, that was something that they were working on really hard during the week to present him with different looks. I mean, they got decent pressure out against him, but they didn't get any sacks. Fish liked the pressure that they got against Altmaier. They could have had a few sacks here or there, but mostly it was the secondary playing really sticky coverage. Altmaier even said after the game, he tipped his cap to the Huskies corners. He thought they were some of the best he's seen in the Big Ten. So that secondary really came to play, and they showed out on Saturday.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot here. I better get this right. So what famous USC quarterback said, "All I saw was purple"?
The Marinovich, I believe.
Oh, yes. Look at you. Well done. Congrats. Nicely done. Where do you look? Okay. All right. I see you. Yeah, that's an old. Well done. All right. Here's what man. I didn't see that one coming. Yes. In the whole bit. All right. Let's jump to let's hear Jed Fish press conference here. We might have to speed up for the time, but Money, can we play the Jed Fish press conference?
Hello, everybody. Happy bye week Monday, huh? So we are going to have 3 more days of practice. We'll get back at it with the guys today, and then we'll work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, some of Thursday. Coaches will go out recruiting. Players will be off for a couple days, and then we'll all get back at it, preparing for Wisconsin. We'll begin our preparation probably tomorrow's practice for Wisconsin. Today will be about corrections from Saturday, as well as fundamentals, and working on all of the things that can help you win football games. I'm excited to hear that Denzel is the Big Ten Player of the Week, I think. Co-Big Ten Player of the Week, whatever it might be. So very excited for Denzel there. Well-deserved. Fantastic stat line for sure, and also the way he played, the competitive edge he played with, really, really impressed there. Other than that, watching the game, I thought we did good things, certainly things we want to improve upon in terms of, technique, in terms of identification of certain coverages, identification of certain plays on offense against our defense, special teams, had a couple penalties, had a couple put the ball on the ground too many times, put the ball on the ground on a punt, put the ball on the ground on a reverse, put the ball on the ground on a snap at the end of the game. But for the most part, we still finished +2 in the turnover battle. We were very efficient on third down. We were very efficient in the red zone on offense. We had a very good second half on defense. So altogether, glad that we're 6-2. We have a bye week, and now we have an opportunity for the final 4 games to see what our postseason can look like. Well, I'm not going to compare, the guys. I would say that we felt, obviously, that having the 2 guys that were the starters and have earned the right to be the starters all season long, who were out for the last 4 weeks, brought some consistency and brought some energy and did a great job of helping solidify what I believe our whole offensive line had their best game. When Swanee was in, when Pocky was in, when Swanee and Pocky were in, we had a full rotation the whole game. They guys were all rotating in and out, and I thought all of them did a really good job. I thought Landon Hatchett did a really good job. I thought the guards, the right side of the line, did a really good job. We had no sacks. We ran the ball well, but I think it was just nice to have them all back. I think Alex McLaughlin and X-Ray Alexander both had 12 tackles. They were around the ball often. What really stood out to me was our defense's personality on the field. They were very aggressive. They went after the football. The ball was on the ground a bunch of times. Now, some of it was right at the whistle. Some of it was they declared a guy down. A couple of the interceptions were called back due to a penalty. But we were around the ball. We were around the ball a lot. And, we want to be a takeaway team, and Saturday showed me that we can do that.
Ezra Roebuck had 2 touchdown catches on Saturday. What can you say about his growth and maturity over the course of the year?
He's doing really well. He's a young, freshman that came in the summer. He wasn't even here spring. He's the only receiver, I believe, that didn't come early. And maybe Daisy didn't come early. But that being the case, I think that it's pretty special seeing what he's been able to do since he's gotten here. And we've put him in a lot of positions to have to do a lot of different things. You know, we put him inside, we put him outside, we've we've motioned him across, we've put him in the backfield and motioned him out. And we'll continue to do that. And his growth has been great. It's been fun to watch him. He's got tremendous hands. We've always known that. He's got great body control and balance. We saw that on the corner route that he caught and stayed in bounds. We saw the physicality he plays with on the scramble touchdown that he made. And I think Dez will continue to just get better and better and better and better. And as we're trying to really mature as an offense, we'll see these freshmen become sophomores and these sophomores become juniors, and it's kind of fun to watch.
All right, so there you go. Who was asking that question there? It didn't...
That was me at the end there, yes.
All right, so now you're bogarting press conferences. Okay, all right, so be it. All right, probably got about a minute. I do need to shave, but overall impressions, the next minute here of the Huskies, and just, you know, I know you're going to throw something up there. I shouldn't say throw, yeah, you know, read that article up there, kind of a breakdown at the halfway here for the Huskies, but just your overall impressions so far.
My overall impressions is they're in a good spot. They're 6-2. They have 3 very winnable games coming up. Not to say that they should take any of them for granted, but Wisconsin, Purdue, and UCLA. UCLA is probably maybe the toughest of those 3. I would say they've kind of resuscitated themselves a little bit. But always, you know, then Fish was also saying it's not always easy to go into Wisconsin and get a win. So because they usually have a rowdy crowd. So it's going to be interesting when they come out of the bye. You know, that's the coach speak, but they're going to be in good position. The next 3 games, very winnable. And then, of course, Oregon's there at the end of the season. And if they win these 3, they still maybe have a chance to get into the college football playoff if they can beat Oregon. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well done. Yeah, well said. There was a cut there. I didn't clip that one, but he was asked about that. And to your point, Wisconsin is bottom at 0-5. So is Purdue 0-5, and UCLA is just below the Huskies. Well, they're both tied 3-2, but UCLA is coming off a loss. So, all right, great stuff, Andrew. Appreciate you, and we'll talk to you soon. I can't make any. I don't know about next week. There's some traveling going on. All right. So thanks again, Andrew. He is the college reporter for CascadiaSports.net. He's doing football. Also, we're doing basketball. So, man, you can see talent everywhere, able to express himself and knows what's going on. All right. And speaking of that, D-Money, thanks again for a wonderful show. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Shout out to Damon Jones and all the other people that are out there in our audience. We appreciate you. All right. And we will be back. I'll just say next week. Seattle Sports Weekly.